Alright, so since we announced Transience and showed off our devlog with the team, we have seen such a positive reception to our first project that the team really just can't believe what is happening right now. We have 200,000 plus views on the announcement video, 16,000 plus wish lists on Steam, and we're so close to breaking into the top 1,000 most wishlisted games on Steam in just under 2 months, which is kind of nuts. A lot of interested parties are reaching out, people looking to finance the project, publishers, and more on the business side. And it has been an absolute blur for me these last 2 months in between streaming and still trying to keep consistent content coming. It's been nuts. I want to discuss it all here. So if you guys haven't heard of Transience, it's our first project. It's a stealth action tactical FPS inspired by Rainbow Six, Splinter Cell, and Max Payne, and the game is set in a dystopian new version of Texas in 2056. Check out the Steam page down below and wishlist the game if you like what you see. It's literally the best way you can support this project right now. I want to start with gameplay in this devlog because a lot of things have been in motion here in the last couple of months. So we all know Transience is going to feature a ton of weapon customization that we've shown off a little bit, but now we have the updated customization UI and UX elements that kind of take this system to the next level. We're still working on implementing all of the images and attachments, but the system is working so well and it looks so good. The suit that you wear within the game features what we're calling non-Newtonian colloid that temporarily provides highly reactive armor, which provides extremely effective protection. Basically, when you get shot, this fluid that kind of flows within the suit hardens up and provides you with about 3 seconds of protection. So if you take another shot after taking the first bullet that triggers the fluid, you're protected. If you lose the 2 armor pips that your suit contains, it's dangerous. 3 to 4 shots will now take you out. You can replenish this fluid by collecting what we call end caps that kind of refill and re-fluidize the suit. These are going to be very rare within the levels, meaning every move you make, every corner you move around could be deadly. When you combine that limited but useful armor system with our gunplay, it's honestly a match made in heaven. We're still working on the HUD element for those armored shots. Here's a current work in progress. You guys can see the blue kind of flashes on the side of the screen, kind of shows which direction you're taking shots from. It's not too obtrusive, but it still lets you know where you're getting shot from, and it lets you know that you have just lost an armor pip. Now, alongside that, a feature that we didn't really plan for, but just kind of fell into was slow motion. We were using slow-mo to test, weapon animations, basically just to see how our wrists and fingers bend during the animations to make sure everything looks good. But every single person that was in engine using this, they were toggling and jumping and leaning around corners, taking guys out, especially with the ragdoll system. That slow-mo just looked and felt so damn awesome. So we decided to take another page out of Max Payne. Now, with this feature, we believe that Max Payne had an overabundance of slow-mo juice. Basically, you were jumping around every corner, and it kind of killed the gimmick pretty quickly. So, much like the armor, when we were talking about implementing this, we wanted to keep it limited. So, the system is going to be extremely limited, like even more so than the armor, and you'll need to find the proper resource around the map, much like the end caps, to refit your suit, so you really need to use it sparingly. It's super fun, but we don't want to go the full arcade route. We kind of want to dabble our feet in there a little bit while keeping the game grounded in reality. We realized last year that with all of these features, we need to have a HUD. Initially, our plan was to go completely HUDless, or at least as minimal as possible. Right before we put the announcement trailer out, we started mocking up a HUD concept that feels really, really nice, and we're also taking a page from Rising Storm. So if you guys don't know, when this gets implemented, you can hit a button to toggle your HUD on and off. It's on the suit's visor, which kind of glows green. You can see we got the outline border already that is already looking a little bit more techy, but this allows people who hate HUDs to just play without it. Hit a button, toggle it off, you're done. But if you toggle it on, it gives the more casual players a bit more info to track, which we think is a nice compromise. Plus, the HUD concept is already pretty minimal. You guys are seeing it here with your armor and slow-mo being tracked in the bottom left, weapon and your ammo in the bottom right. And then up here in the middle is actually your visibility within, direct light. So one thing that I loved about Splinter Cell was the ability to see on a HUD element how visible you are in the shadows to your enemies. So this HUD still needs to be, created fully and implemented, but we're doing that as I record this video. So hopefully in the next devlog, we can show that off. On top of that, Frankie has been working on bullet penetration through materials like wood, as well as bullet ricochets off of things like concrete. So the system is still in its infancy, but already it makes the gunplay that much better and that much more unique. You don't see it in a lot of games. We're going to show you more of this when the system is fully completed. Again, one of those things I'm hoping to see in the next devlog. One of the big things with us is our game design philosophy is we want everything to be fluid, and we don't want you to be spending a bunch of time in menus, right? So the weapon customization happens on the fly. You pick up things that go to an inventory, and you don't really have to muddle around with everything. It just kind of fills up on your screen. That also leads into our next thing, which is our gadget system. A lot of people have been asking about it. Stealth shooters, you just need gadgets. So what we're doing is we're designing a wrist launcher system that is tied to this suit that allows you to do a couple of different things. Right now, we've implemented what we're calling our flash pulse. It's basically a flashbang. If you bounce something twice off of a couple of walls, it explodes and blinds the enemies, and you guys are seeing clips of it here. It's in its first pass, and also the enemy kind of reaction to it isn't where we want it to be yet, but they do get blinded. They basically are stunned. They can't shoot you, and they also don't know where the hell they are, and it works okay for a combat scenario right now, but we definitely want to flesh that out in the future. Another gadget that we have on the go is what we're calling our vision pulse. So you pop up your wrist launcher, you shoot something on the ground, and it gives you a vision pulse, which basically gives you a heat signature through certain walls. We haven't decided what materials we want you to be able to see through or not, but this kind of goes into the bullet pen system. We're separating all of these materials out to see how they interact with not only your bullets, but also these gadgets. Now that is still in concepting stage, but we will get that implemented sometime in the near future. One of the other gadgets we're working on right now is an EMP pulse. So in the game, you're also going to be having to dodge cameras that will alert enemies of your presence if you're within their range for too long. One way you can get around it is by firing an EMP that will just basically blast out any sort of lights or cameras in the near vicinity of where the explosion is, and then you can move freely across. Now, right now, we do have our lighting system working with an EMP-like system, so if you burst an EMP, the lights will kind of flicker, power down for a little bit, and then flicker back on after a set period of time. We've yet to tie it into the cameras, and we've also yet to tie it into the wrist launcher. Just being fully transparent, it's a work in progress system. I'm also thinking about a lock picking system, but we're not quite sure if that's going to make it into this game or if it's something we're going to tie to another operator that you'll be able to play in a potential sequel if we do end up doing co-op. But right now, all of the gadgets that you will have at your disposal are all tied to this wrist launcher within your suit, and we think it works pretty well. We don't want you guys having to hit pause, switch to a different menu to activate an ability. We don't want you guys to do any of that. We want it to feel really smooth and fluid. You hit a button, the wrist launcher comes up, whatever you have selected, fire it off, and then you're back to holding your gun and gunning guys down or running into the shadows. Now, on the UI side of things, we also have our menu system for things like keybinds implemented into the game. We've also added interaction elements on doors that is tied to your keybind settings already, so you know that you can interact with certain things. We need to take that system that we have on the doors, and we basically need to put it on weapons, so you know how to pick up enemy weapons, which has also been implemented into the game. Speaking of weapons, here is your first look at our P90 inspired SMG. Seeing as this is a near future title, all of our weapons are custom made and concepted and obviously inspired by their real life counterparts, but they aren't replicas and we don't really want them to be. This makes it feel a lot more unique and a lot more custom for us. So when it comes to a P90 style SMG, the customization isn't going to be as deep as what you would find on the AR platforms, but it does come with a built-in flashlight, which you guys see under the barrel here, and this is simply due to weapon balancing. The AR platforms have more customization, but something like a P90 has a larger magazine, a faster fire rate, but not as much control. We think being able to throw everything on it, like a laser, a sight, all of that stuff, and being able to customize it, it just kind of makes all of the guns feel almost the same. So we need to break them up a little bit and make them feel more unique by kind of limiting certain things you can do with them. But again, it all comes down to weapon balancing. Now that final weapon balancing won't happen until later, but we're currently thinking about all of this stuff throughout the entire creative process. Our MP5 style SMG and the Sega style shotgun is being rigged and animated as we speak and should be in game by the next devlog. One weapon we did get in there back in December was the Renegade Security Shotgun. It still needs some finishing touches on the reload animation and the bullet spread, but I'm happy to see a new weapon in the game. We'll be starting our next assault rifle soon, which I'm really excited for. Let me know down below what gun you guys want to see in this game. On to the level design front, here are some shots from what we're internally calling this level Apartments 2. It's more of like a strip mall slash apartment slash hotel area that you're going to be fighting in. I showed you this was the environment that Chris was working on, and it was still a work in progress. It is still a work in progress. We made a lot of forward motion on this level, and here's some of the areas that you're going to be traveling in as you move throughout this environment. I can't wait for you guys to see what you're actually going to be doing here. Little hint, it's gonna be bloody. On top of that, we've also reworked our entire lighting system to make it more optimized within the engine. Our plan here is to allow you guys to shoot out as many lights as humanly possible. I'm not gonna sit here and say you can shoot out 100%, but I'm gonna say this, man, if you see a light, chances are you're going to be able to shoot it and create a little bit of darkness for yourself. So we're going through and we're relighting all of our older environments. This is some of the shots from the first floor of Apartments 1 internal code, again, that you guys are going to be seeing as you walk through. Here's what it was like before. It was lit up like a Christmas tree, and then here's what it is now. On top of this, Frosty has also gone through and has white boxed out our next environment, what we're calling server facility. So basically in the story, you're going to be breaking into a very, very secure server facility that if you keep going deeper and you take elevators down, this is where all of the corporations and factions within our game kind of store their very sensitive information, and you are tasked with trying to find said sensitive information. It's going to be an insane level, and already walking through it, it's my favorite one in the game, and it's not even close to being done yet. It is one of the craziest designs that Frosty has ever done, and yeah, I'm excited for you guys to see it. Now, speaking of being lit up like Christmas trees, one of the big complaints that we had from our initial trailer was the character enemy design. So basically, a little bit of insight here. You guys had said that it was lit up like a Christmas tree. Just a little insight there. Initially, we had only the visors and like the helmet kind of lit up. And what we did is we separated our characters into 4 different groups. You know, green being our basic bitch guys that are most likely just going to run away from combat to try and find somebody else. We had our blue and yellow, which kind of acted more as like they're going to be aggressive when they need to be. They're going to flank when they need to. They're going to pull back. A little bit smarter than our green basic, you know, first day on the job rookies. And then we had our red guys, which are, they're going to be aggressive. They're going to run up your ass and they're going to kill you as fast as they can. They're basically our Terminators. But the problem was because the helmet was the only thing lit, we couldn't actually tell who we were facing if we snuck up behind one of them. So I was like, you know what, for now, placeholder, let's just throw lights everywhere. And honestly, I kind of like the design, but you guys clearly didn't, and we can definitely see the criticism there. So we've gone through, we've reworked our enemies already for the faction that you guys had seen in the trailer, and instead of lighting them up with lights everywhere, we basically just made 3 separate armor types. So you have your basic kind of guys wearing the vest, not a lot of belts, not a lot of anything. They might have a pistol holder. You have your medium guys who are a little bit more armored in the shoulders. They're wearing, you know, bulletproof vests. They have a couple of belts on them. And then you have pretty much our Juggernaut class, which are guys heavily armored, covering the neck. They're your combat ready Marine mercenaries that are there to kill you. And obviously we have a bunch of factions to work through with different armor types and stuff like this. This is just one of the main ones you guys are going to be coming across in this game. So all of those are still work in progress, but just know we are taking your guys' feedback into account here because you're going to be the one shooting at these things. We want it to feel as satisfying as possible. On the sound design front, we do have another track that is going into our, you know, official soundtrack that's going to be coming at launch. And here's a little snippet of it right now. I love it. And with that, guys, you have just been given the vegetables of this meal, and now I want to get into the meat and potatoes of things we have been working on behind the scenes on top of all of this. So right after we put our announcement trailer out and the hype was insane and you guys were loving it, we've had a lot of interest from different publishers and different people looking to get involved with the project on a business level side. But with that, they needed to play the game. We had publishers reach out and they want to get involved and they wanted to play our game. And I know from my perspective, the game is not ready to be even, I mean, honestly, shown to the public in a demo setting or capacity. But I also know that our environments are still very work in progress. We're still working through the objective system. We're still doing all of these things. And if we were to give it to them right now, it wouldn't be the full picture of what we wanted to do. So our initial game design document and design for this game, we did have another mode planned that we hadn't actually started working on until shortly after our announcement trailer. And this is our kill house and our shooting range environment that's going to basically allow you guys to grab every weapon in the game, go to the shooting range, test the weapons with this mini game that Flo had programmed. You shoot a bunch of targets and it works so fucking well and it looks really, really good. On top of that, we took a little bit of inspiration from our prototype that Frankie put together last year before we even started in this game development journey. And if you walk through the office and go to the other side and enter the doors, every single time you walk through it, it generates a brand new kill house layout for you to go in, kill 6 enemies, and do it as fast as possible. So with that, we have a lot of interested parties. We can give them a gameplay loop that is closed and full and shows our full effectiveness with things like environment design, you know, combat, weapon customization, weapon handling, AI, and it gives them kind of a sense of what we're going for when it comes to the tactical FPS side. And I gotta say, out of all of the kill houses that I've played in other games, ours is it's feeling pretty fucking good. With that said, we're also now able to test our weapons and test the balancing in combat scenarios, as well as test our AI for how they maneuver through different environments. And speaking of AI, we're currently reworking our entire AI system in C++, so we have even more control and more customization over what these things can do. AI, we know, is one of the most important things with this game, and we want to get it right, and I apologize for not having more progress to show there, but I will say, I think for the last couple of months, we've been doing pretty good. We have a fully functioning combat demo that if publishers or people who want to finance the project or anybody who wants to get involved but needs to see what the game is, we can show you that while we work on everything else. Now, I'm not saying this demo is ever going to be public facing. I don't know if it's something we could put together for a Steam Next Fest in the future. I'm just saying that we built this entire environment, game mode, shooting range, all of the programming for all of these things. We did all of that within about 3 weeks. If you take out, you know, Christmas and New Year's Eve and New Year's Day holidays, we kind of crushed it there. Now, one thing I do want to dial back to is the publisher talk and the financing talk. Here's the thing, guys. When we started this out, I never ever dreamed that we would even be in a call with a publisher. It's our first project. I didn't think people would even care that much, but alas, you guys are showing that there is a need for games like this, and there is a want and a desire to have a tactical FPS that is inspired by the games that we all enjoyed growing up. And I know there is, but I never ever thought for our first project we'd be in talks with a publisher. Listen, I am scared as fuck to go down the publisher route. I've heard plenty of horror stories about publishers in the past. I also understand that with a publisher comes a whole different set of standards and expectations. And honestly, guys, if we can do this ourselves and just have complete creative control over the entire process, that would be the big thing. With that said, I know a lot of you guys are expecting this game to come out in 2023. In my initial devlog and announcement, I left the question mark, but even with leaving the question mark, I'm seeing a lot of people say that they're excited for Transience to come out this year. It's one of their most anticipated games of 2023, and while I appreciate that, I also feel like that question mark and that notice of this game isn't going out till it's ready has been pretty much ignored. So what I will say, guys, is I am going to be updating the Steam page to reflect a coming soon date. I don't know if we're going to hit 2023. Chances are at this rate, I don't think we are. And there's a few reasons for it. Specifically, we see the comments. We see all of the people coming through and saying that this game needs to be perfect. It needs to be good, or else my reputation is kind of tattered as a game critic. And the entire team knows that this game can't go out and it can't be a dud. With that said, I think we've already completed my goal of showing all of these asset flip developers that if you put real time and passion behind the project you're working on, it will only work out for you. We just now have to execute on that vision, and I think we're doing a fucking fantastic job. With that said, we also know that this game cannot go out in a terrible, shit, or even a mediocre state. It needs to be fun, and it needs to be fully feature complete, and it needs to be good. And I feel like, you know, learning lesson for me, don't give any sort of date, even if you're honest and say that it probably isn't going to hit that date or it might not come out, you know, whatever. People ignore that shit, and it's just one of those things we have to learn. So what we're doing here, we're setting the record straight. This game might not come out this year. Chances are, if you're following along with the progress, it's most likely going to be releasing sometime next year. But again, I don't know. I'm not putting a date on it at this point. Learning lesson for me, that's on me. That's my bad. With all of that said, guys, we're cranking on this project. We're doing what we can with the budget and pretty much the team size that we have. And I think we're doing some pretty fantastic shit, especially in the time that we've taken. We've been working on it at this point of recording this video for about 8 months. And I just, man, I don't think there's another game out there that has this much content and this level of quality at the 8-month mark. I just don't see it. And we're still pushing through. We're working on getting voice actors lined up to do certain roles. We're still recording dialogue. We're still doing cutscene tests to make sure the visuals on that side work properly. We're working on new animations for some of these characters. We're also working on different character models for the characters you guys are going to see. But it's just, at this point, everything is such a work in progress. This is the stuff that I can concretely show you that is in the game or is coming to the game very soon. But that doesn't even encompass everything else that we have going on that is still maybe in early stages or still being reiterated on. It's been a lot. And I gotta say, man, just seeing your guys' positive response to the announcement and the trailer and the Steam wishlist shooting over 16,000 is insane. We're gonna try our best to deliver on an indie project for a good price that you guys can get quite a few hours out of and have fun. And I think if we do that, regardless of anything else, we've accomplished our goal. Thank you guys for watching, man. If you guys haven't wishlisted the game, please check it out on Steam. Check out the first devlog. And again, if you like what you see, the best way you can support is by wishlisting the game and engaging with my content. The more people that come through and become members or watch streams or even like the videos and leave comments, the better off we are, because then I can just take the ad revenue money from YouTube and send it straight to my team. Thank you guys for everything. We're killing it. And I can't wait to show you guys more in the future. As always, my name is Big Fry, and I'll see you on the next one.